Hello. All right. Today I want to talk about insulin resistance because that is all I'm seeing this week with patients. So I want to go over 27 signs that your body is insulin resistant, and most people miss these. I'm seeing a lot being missed at the doctor's office as well, so I'm going to try and help you advocate for yourself to know what to ask for. If you are tired all the time, you're gaining weight around your midsection, you're craving carbs, or you're feeling like your body just isn't responding the way that it used to, this video is for you, so pay attention. Insulin resistance is one of the most overlooked drivers of chronic disease, including cancer, and most people don't even know they have it. So today I'm going to walk you through 27 signs that your body may be insulin resistant, and I promise you're probably going to recognize more than a few. So what is insulin resistance? I want to simplify it. Insulin is your fat storage hormone. Its job is to take sugar out of your bloodstream and move it into your cells for energy. But when your body is exposed to too much sugar, too many processed carbs, too much stress, your cells stop listening, which means they're not as sensitive as what they need to be. That is called insulin resistance. Your body makes more insulin and more and more and more, but your cells ignore it. And then it becomes a fat storage in your stomach. So many times I will be on the phone with a patient and I'm seeing the labs and I'm seeing insulin resistance, and I say, hey, are you holding some weight in your midsection? Every single time is yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's where it's stored. It goes right to the midsection. Then you get the visceral fat, and it's all around the organs, and you just feel bloated and full all the time. So now that you've got high insulin, unstable blood sugar, inflammation, and your body is stuck in storage mode, that is what insulin resistance is. You're not as resistant as what you need to be. You're not as sensitive as what you need to be. So here are 27 signs. Let's go through these, and I want you to mentally check off what applies to you. Hit me up too. The chat's open. We can talk about this online, live, or afterwards. Email me, Cindy at drcindyross.com. Okay, so let's go through them. Hunger and blood sugar instability. Frequent hunger, especially needing snacks. Not feeling satisfied after eating. Craving carbs and sugar. I hear this over and over and over every single day. Needing to nap after meals. That means that you've crashed. Nighttime eating or hunger. This is your blood sugar crashing and your body is begging for quick energy. Alright, 6 through 10 is energy and body composition. Low endurance or fatigue. Belly fat. Belly fat. We always talk about the big tire around your midsection. That is the big one. Slow metabolism. Loss of muscle mass. If you notice a composition change in your skin, maybe that crepey skin, you know what I'm talking about, and you're not holding on to muscle like you once used to, more than likely you got some insulin resistance going on. Loss of muscle mass, weight that won't budge no matter what you do, and I always tell my patients this, it doesn't matter how much you work out or how clean you eat, until you fix that insulin resistance, it doesn't matter. You're going to continue to gain weight, and it's going to frustrate the hell out of you, I promise. This is where people get so frustrated because they think it's a willpower issue. It's not. It's hormonal. And so many times people think they have hormone issues, and it's actually the insulin resistance, and that insulin resistance can depress the hormones, so we don't really even have an accurate number with the hormones. That's why I usually don't even touch the hormones in the first phase of us working together, because we don't have true accurate numbers because you got such an imbalance. All right, 11 through 15, lab and internal markers. High cholesterol or triglycerides is a great sign. Low HDL. If you're a patient of mine, you hear me talk about HDL all the time. You need this cholesterol. This is where hormones are made. This is where your cognitive function is made. You got to have the HDL up nice and healthy, okay? High LDL, I don't worry too much about it unless you're positive for LP, little a, lipoprotein A, because a lot of times if you get that HDL up high enough, you're going to have a total cholesterol that is high. But as long as you're not positive for that LPA, I'm good with that HDL being a little bit higher, because we want to make sure that we're not in a breeding ground for cancer to grow. If you got a low HDL, body is begging for cancer to start growing. So we got to make sure that we are eating good fats, good fats. And if you're not getting enough in your diet, make sure you're taking your omegas. Another sign of insulin resistance is high blood pressure. Talking to a patient this morning, and they've recently been on a GLP, and they've lost some weight, which is great. I promote that. Hey, if you got some blood pressure issues and you need a GLP to get things kick-started, go for it, you know. Sorry, my phone is ringing, and I forgot to turn on no notifications. Again, he started having like some dizzy spells this morning because his blood pressure is actually starting to normalize because he is getting his insulin resistance down. So definitely watch your blood pressure. Fatty liver is another sign. High blood glucose and insulin. So many times when you go to the doctor, they're only checking your fasting glucose. A lot of times that will be fine, but you need to check your A1C and you need to check your fasting insulin. Those are indicators all of insulin resistance. They'll be off the charts. Those are your internal warning signs. This is where your labs start telling the story. All right, skin and hormones. Dark patches on the neck or armpits. Skin tags. Skin tags are a big one. Like if you notice a lot of skin tags are starting to pop up, you'll notice them on other people. You'll also notice their waistline is a little bit larger than what it should be. That is a huge indicator of insulin resistance. Acne as well, PCOS, low testosterone. Your skin is often the first place that insulin resistance shows up externally. All right, brain and mood. Experiencing any brain fog? I ask that all the time, and they're like, how did you know that? I'm like, I see it all in your labs. I get it. I understand it. Poor focus, mood swings, memory issues. Your brain is highly sensitive to blood sugar swings. So when your insulin is off, cognition follows. This is why it's really important to have a nice healthy HDL as well. You want that cognitive function. We do not want early onset dementia. Systemic stress and inflammation. Inflammation and pain. Sleep apnea. Increased sympathetic nervous system. You will feel wired, but you're still tired. Poor nutrient absorption. This is where it becomes whole body dysfunction and not just blood sugar. If you work with me, you know that I look at the body as a whole. I don't just compartmentalize in one area. One thing's off, it's going to throw everything else off. So the big picture, what I want you to understand, insulin resistant is not just about diabetes. It is connected to heart disease, cancer, hormone imbalance, weight gain, chronic fatigue. I see this every single day in my practice, and the earlier that you catch it, the easier it is to reverse. So what to do next? If you recognize yourself in this list, here's where I would start. Number 1, focus on stabilizing your blood sugar. That means high protein, healthy fats, and cutting back on the processed carbs. Number 2, move your body daily, at least 7,500 steps. Even walking after meals can drastically improve insulin sensitivity, even just a 10-minute walk. 3, test, don't guess. I always say you cannot manage what you're not measuring. Look at your fasting insulin, look at your glucose, look at your A1C, not just the basic lab. So when you go to your doctor, ask them, please check my fasting insulin, my fasting glucose, A1C, not just basic labs. And always do your labs fasted. Even if they forget to tell you, do your labs fasted. Because if you go in there and don't work out before you do your labs, because it can absolutely throw off a false positive. And number 4, reduce inflammation. Because inflammation and insulin resistance go hand in hand. And remember, these are all fuel to the fire as when it comes to cancer. So we do not want to be feeding cancer cells. If this resonated with you, I want you to comment insulin below the video. And if you're ready to take control of your health instead of guessing, reach out to me, Cindy, at drcindyross.com. This is exactly what I help my patients reverse every single day. Your body isn't broken, it's just needing the right strategy. Okay, let's go into some Q&A. These are some questions I actually had this week. Can you be insulin resistant and still be thin? I see it all the time. Yes, it's one of the biggest misconceptions. I see a lot of skinny insulin resistance where someone looks lean but has poor metabolic health, fatigue, brain fog, and abnormal labs. It's not about weight, it's about how your body is processing the fuel. How sensitive is it to the insulin? What is the best diet to reverse insulin resistance? In my opinion, it's not about a trendy diet, it's about stabilizing blood sugar. Prioritize your protein, your healthy fats, your fiber, and reduce processed carbs and sugar. Most people do really well with a lower carb, whole food approach. I always say you cannot go wrong with a clean keto. I love clean keto, love carnivore. I just don't feel that we need all the carbohydrates that we feel that we need, that our body's craving. You do not need them. All right, and a lot of times it just turns straight to sugar. How long does it take to reverse insulin resistance? Well, you can start seeing changes in just a few weeks, but true reversal takes consistency over a few months. Remember, functional medicine isn't overnight, it is consistency. I've seen labs improve in 8 to 12 weeks when people are dialed in with their nutrition, movement, and the right support. What labs should I ask my doctor for? Okay, listen up. When you go in, you're advocating for yourself. Ask for fasting insulin. You want your A1C. You want your fasting glucose. You want your triglycerides, HDL, and even the HOMA-IR if possible. Insulin is the early marker that most doctors miss. Is fasting good or bad for insulin resistance? It can be very beneficial, but it depends on the person. If your blood sugar is unstable or your adrenals are stressed, fasting can actually backfire. I like to stabilize first, then strategically introduce fasting if appropriate. So the first phase is just about getting the insulin resistance under control. Can insulin resistance cause anxiety or mood issues? Absolutely. Blood sugar swings directly impact your brain and nervous system. When glucose crashes, your body releases stress hormones, and then that can feel like anxiety. I was just telling someone yesterday they have terrible panic attacks. They're just, plagued with anxiety. And I tell them all the time that it is absorption issues coming from the gut. You don't have enough serotonin, dopamine, and those neurons are not firing. So we got to get you back to a state of balance, and a lot of that will subside. What supplements help the most with insulin resistance? Well, as you know, one of my go-to supports are berberine. Love berberine. Magnesium, chromium, and your omega-3s. But supplements should support a solid foundation, not replace it. Okay? It's going to take all pieces of the pie. Is cardio or weight training better? Both. But if I had to choose, I'd say weight training is a game changer. Muscle is your metabolic engine, and the more muscle that you have, the more insulin sensitive you become. Can insulin resistance increase cancer risk? Absolutely, and this is something I'm very passionate about. Elevated insulin is a growth signal in the body, and it can fuel the abnormal cell growth. This is why metabolic health is so important in cancer prevention and support. And last, what's the first sign that most people miss? That afternoon crash or needing caffeine and sugar to get you through the day. People normalize it, but it's often one of the earliest signs that your blood sugar is not stable. Alright guys, that's all I have for today. But if you have any questions, again, I'm here. Reach out to me. Here on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the social media outlets. Cindy at drcindyross.com. Visit my website, lifewellnessforever.com. Give me a call, 251-635-7477. I almost gave you my husband's number because I've been writing it down all day. But call me, 251-635-7477. Hope you guys have a great day.